The story begins with a boy telling that his dad was a bit of a deadbeat, an eccentric painter who never sold a thing. Then one day, when the boy was in grade school, his dad just up and vanished. 3 days later, they found his mummified corpse. To mummify a body, one needs the right conditions: dry air, good ventilation, barely any bacteria, and a lot of time. So, the face that his dad was mummified in just 3 days didn't make any sense. The circumstances behind his dad's death remained a mystery. Now, the boy is in the first year of high school. He was riding his bicycle to school while thinking that he doesn't want to go to school. Right then, he spotted a girl named Yuki who was also going to school on a bicycle. He thought that he never talked to her, but it seems like they take the same route to school. Everyone's blabbing about how cute she is ever since the school year began. But he doesn't have anything to do with her. Suddenly, he heard Yuki, who was riding her bicycle just in front of her, singing. When he heard the lyrics, he realized that that's the theme of his favorite anime. He can't believe that Yuki watches anime. He points out that she also knows the instrumental, and as he was thinking that he can't wait for the second verse, he heard honk. The boy was so concentrated on her singing that he didn't even notice he's in the middle of the road. The truck was so close to him that he thought that he's going to die just like this. Right then, the truck suddenly stopped. Yuki ran toward Hiroki, asking him if he's fine. Hiroki answered that he's fine and suddenly showed a really shocked reaction, asking her what was going on. She mentions that he gave a really delayed reaction and suggests that they should first get out of the road. While they were walking freely, everything around them was just still. After crossing the road, she showed Hiroki a watch and told him that she found it yesterday. Hiroki looked at the watch and called it weird. Then, Yuki reveals that there was a note inside of it. The note said that this watch belongs to the god of time. Wind it up, and you can stop time for up to 20 minutes, 3 times a day. Hiroki couldn't believe what she's saying. So, Yuki told him that she also felt the same at first, but she couldn't stop thinking about it, so she ended up taking it home. Last night, she gave the knob a tiny twist, and time for like 10 seconds. It freaked her out, so she didn't touch it again after that, but just now, when Hiroki was about to get hit, she used the watch without thinking. While everyone was frozen, Yuki and Hiroki were slowly walking toward the school. Then, Hiroki asked her if the stop was stopped, why he's the only one moving. Yuki answered that she doesn't have any idea. She guessed that he might be some kind of weird mutation, that's why he's able to move. After reaching the school, when Yuki and Hiroki were about to part ways, Hiroki said thanks to her. He still doesn't know what's really going on, but if she hadn't stopped time back then, he'd probably be dead right now. Hearing the thanks, she said you're welcome with a big smile on her face and was about to leave. Hiroki blushed seeing how cute Yuki was and stopped her again. He suggests that Yuki shouldn't use that watch anymore. He believes that stopping time is just way too much power, and he feels something off about that watch. He got a bad feeling that if she used the watch too much, she might get in trouble. Yuki also agrees and decides to not use it again. The next morning, Hiroki received a message from Yuki that she's going to stop time again because she overslept and doesn't want to be late for school. She told him before stopping the time because if she suddenly stopped time, Hiroki might freak out. Immediately after he saw the message, students around him stopped moving. At the class, the teacher smashed the table and asked all the students to get ready for the pop quiz. He warns them that if anyone fails the quiz, he will stay behind for after school from Hell Special. Hiroki was looking at the teacher thinking that their homeroom teacher is way too intense. Right then, the teacher stopped moving. Hiroki immediately realized why this happened and looked toward Yuki. He saw that Yuki had stopped the time to cheat in the test. Hiroki reminds her that she's cheating, but she doesn't care. She said that she didn't want to stay for the after-school Hell Special. So, Hiroki showed her his answer sheet and helped her pass the test. From that day on, they started using the time stop powers. For their own use, they use it to get out of little jams. Like for going to school, they use it if they get late, they use it to pass the tests, and they even use it in baseball. To make the school a little more fun, to indulge in small desires, or when he suddenly found himself in trouble. It turns out that Hiroki gets bullied by these 3 boys most of the time. The front boy's name is Ryoto. He has stolen Hiroki's shoe and is refusing to give him back. Suddenly, they stopped moving because Yuki had stopped time to help Hiroki. During break time, Yuki reminds Hiroki that tomorrow's the field trip. Yuki said that they should do something different on this field trip. So, Hiroki suggests that they should visit an art museum. He said that there's an art museum near where they're going. One of his dad's paintings is on display there. Yuki was really amazed after learning that Hiroki's dad is an artist. Hiroki asked her to not get so amazed because his dad never sold anything. That museum's the only place in Japan that ever showed his work. Even though Hiroki wanted to see his dad's painting, because he thought that Yuki might not want to visit a museum, he said that they can do something else if she wants. But Yuki got near Hiroki and said that if he's finally getting a chance to see his dad's painting, it'd be a waste to not go there. Her belief is that when you feel like it, just do it. And so, they stopped time in the middle of the field trip and headed to the museum where his dad's painting was on display. Inside the museum, Yuki and Hiroki were walking while taking a look at different paintings. Yuki felt that there's something special about a museum when time is frozen. Hiroki also feels the same. Then, Yuki asked him what kind of paintings his dad made. Hiroki answered that he only said it once, and it was when he was really little, so he doesn't remember it well. After a while, they reached Hiroki's dad's painting. Its name is Frozen Streets. When they looked at the painting, they were really shocked. Hiroki asked Yuki if this painting reminds her of a world where time's been stopped. She answered with yes. The next moment, they both were sitting on a bench inside the museum. Suddenly Yuki asked him about his dad. Hiroki answered that his dad died when he was still in grade school, so he doesn't remember him all that well. Hiroki told her that his dad didn't talk much. He left everything to his mom, like raising him and all that. All he ever did was paint. Even now, when Hiroki's mom talks about his dad, it's just complaints. He thinks that most people would have called him a failure. But Hiroki, when he thought about his dad sitting there painting, his back turned to the world, he always looked strangely cool to Hiroki. Suddenly, Hiroki fell down feeling embarrassed for talking like this. They were sitting in front of Hiroki's dad's painting all this time. Yuki said that she really likes his dad's painting. At that moment, they heard a voice and noticed that the time had started moving again. They felt panic immediately because they ran out of time while they were talking. Hiroki asked her what they should do. He said that if they run, they can make it to the other students in 10 minutes. But Yuki suggests a different idea. She said that they're already here, so they should just keep sightseeing. After spending some time together, they went back and met with other students. They took the roadway that afternoon and rode it all the way to the top of the mountain. While Yuki was enjoying the sight, Hiroki was just standing without saying a single word. Right then, a boy came to Hiroki and told him that Ryoto is calling him. Hiroki didn't say anything to Yuki and went with the boy to see Ryoto, but Yuki noticed him. As Hiroki followed the route, he went beyond the allowed area. Even after seeing the warning sign, he didn't stop and went to meet Ryoto and his gang. This is the end of the mountain. With just a little accident, anyone can fall down and die. At this place, Ryoto started bullying Hiroki. He pushed Hiroki near the fence, which made him really scared. Ryoto asked him to cool down because there's a fence in front of him. They were pushing around Hiroki so much that his legs started shaking. Right then, Yuki arrived there and asked them to stop bullying Hiroki. Ryoto saw her and asked her why she's here. Suddenly, he remembers that Yuki is hanging out with Hiroki a lot these days, so he asked her if she's into him. At that moment, Yuki stopped the time saying that they're not going to talk about that right now. She angrily went toward Hiroki and said that she can't stand Ryoto anymore. She decided to give Ryoto a good scare. One he'll never forget. She asked Hiroki to pick up Ryoto and place him near the fence. Their plan is to place Ryoto near the fence and unfreeze the time. When Ryoto will see that he stands so close to the edge of the mountain, he'll freak out. Seeing that Hiroki is looking worried, she reminds him that they're not going to hurt Ryoto, they'll just scare him a bit and call it a day. She asked him if he wanted to continue getting bullied by Ryoto until the end of high school. Hearing that, Hiroki agrees with her and decides to scare Ryoto a little. But then, something unexpected happened. Yuki just touched Ryoto a little as he started falling toward the fence. After his body fell on the fence, it broke and Ryoto floated away from the mountain. Yuki and Hiroki got really scared, realizing that if the time started moving now, Ryoto would surely die. They try to reach Ryoto, but he's far from their reach. Hiroki realizes that they will never reach him, so they need something like a stick or rope to grab him. Immediately, they started finding the stick as they still have 3 minutes before the time starts moving again. Yuki got the stick and tried to push Ryoto toward them. But accidentally, she pushed him even further by hitting him with the stick. Now, they can't even reach him with a stick. At that moment, they realize that they can't do anything now because only 10 seconds left before the time continues. After the time stopped, Ryoto's friends immediately noticed him falling off of the mountain. They checked down the mountain to confirm if it was really Ryoto. They see the clothes of the person who is falling and confirm that he's Ryoto. They panicked and went back to call the teacher. Now, only Yuki and Hiroki are standing at the scene. When Hiroki looked at Yuki, he saw her sweating buckets and trembling. She was really scared and asked Hiroki if she became a murderer. Hiroki was also sweating hard and so began their worst summer that ever was. After a while, some students climbed down the mountain where Ryoto fell. When they found Ryoto, they stood there staring at Ryoto. In those moments, none of them said so much as a single word until eventually, the rescue team came, and Ryoto was airlifted to an emergency hospital. After that, the trip was cancelled. And as for Hiroki and Yuki, the police want to speak with them. While they were going back riding the cable car, Hiroki remembered the scene when Ryoto fell down and Yuki asked him if she became a murderer. Hiroki could only answer that he didn't want that to happen. Yuki said that she shouldn't be called a murderer because it was just an accident. She just meant to lean him against the railing. She said that it's not her fault that the railing rotted. According to her, the admins should be the one taking the blame, not her. She said that they're totally innocent and asked Hiroki that when they're asked about the incident, they should just say that they didn't see anything. In the present, Hiroki and Yuki were sitting inside a police car. While they were going toward the police station, Hiroki wondered if they'd find out what Yuki did. Considering everything happened while time was stopped, no one should have seen it, but the real problem isn't whether they get caught but that they killed someone. At the police station, some police officers took all of their belongings and then they were present in front of a supervising officer named Kuroda. Not only are Yuki and Hiroki getting interrogated, but also the other two boys are here. He reminds them that they are those who were present at the cliff when Ryoto fell. He asked them to not be nervous. He told them that this isn't going to be like some kind of crime drama where he goes. Saying that, he smashed the table and said that they did it. Kuroda said that he's not going to grill them. He also told them that they have the right to remain silent. Then, he said that if someone clams up without proper causation, that does make them look suspicious. Hearing that, the two friends of Ryoto talked. The blonde hair guy said that they're not hiding anything. Black hair guy said that Ryoto fell while they weren't looking, so it could only have been an accident. At that moment, Kuroda reveals that he's sure that one of them pushed Ryoto off that cliff. He told them that a quick glance at the victim's photos makes it obvious that someone pushed him. He asked them to not underestimate what a cop can find. As he said that, Yuki and Hiroki felt really scared and worried. They can't believe that police already found this much in just 2 hours. Right then, the blonde-haired guy got up and asked Kuroda what proof they had to be so sure that someone pushed him. Kuroda answered, the injuries. He explains that the injuries a fall victim sustains depend on how they land. In suicide cases, they tend to fall feet first. But since the feet alone can't absorb the full impact, this often results in multiple characteristics fractures in the chest. Ryoto had neither wound on feet nor fractures in his chest, and goes over head first. This results in a reversed posture, leading to concentrated trauma to the head and upper limbs. But Ryoto exhibited neither. And finally, in cases of homicide, the body usually falls sideways. High places are commonly bordered by railings or walls where the victim must be forced over laterally. Staged suicides and accidents really only hold in fiction. Kuroda said that in reality, they can figure out most of what happened by looking at the body. Ryoto showed severe damage to the lateral side of body consistent with a typical homicide. Most likely, someone tried forcing him over the dilapidated railing. When it accidentally gave away, Ryoto likely went over with the railing. Saying that, he called them killers and told them that if they're taking notes, this must be a lot to process for a group so young. Both Ryoto's friends continued saying that they didn't push him. Then, Kuroda said that from here on, he'll be questioning each of them one-on-one. He asked everyone to head to the next room except Hiroki. And just like that, Hiroki was being questioned by Kuroda. Kuroda's first question is what Hiroki was doing when the victim fell. He answered that he was talking to Yuki. He said that didn't realize Ryoto had fallen. Next, he asked him what they were talking about. Hiroki just said that he forgot due to the shock of the incident. In the end, Kuroda also had him explain where each of them were when Ryoto fell. It'd be bad if his testimony contradicted someone else's, so he can't lie, even if it makes him look worse. After questioning Hiroko, Kuroda learned that Yuki and Hiroki were closest to Ryoto when he fell. So, he told Hiroki that it'll be a lot easier if he tells him now if he did something wrong. After everyone had been questioned, they were finally released from the station. Hiroki didn't admit anything for now. He rode home in the same car as Yuki, but neither of them said a word the whole ride. After a while, the car arrived in front of Yuki's home. She left the car after saying thanks. Right when Yuki left, Hiroki noticed that Yuki dropped something in the car, so he picked it up. Sometime later, they both met in a park. Hiroko wanted to talk about what happened, but he had no idea how to bring it up. While he was just thinking, Yuki said that she wanted to call him to her home and offered him some tea or something. Before she finished, Hiroki said that he's totally fine with just meeting in the park. Then, Yuki finished her sentence that she didn't invite him to her home because she didn't want him to meet her dad. Hiroki was really confused, wondering what she meant. Right then, a person came out from the house that is just at the other side of the park. In front of the house, some kids were shouting and playing, so the guy was really. The old man was holding a pan, asking the kids to not make noise in front of his house. But instead of stopping, the kids started making fun of the old man, calling him Pan Baldy. Hiroki saw the guy and said, "Wow, get a load of that guy." As he said that, Yuki revealed that that old man is her dad. She said that he's her stepdad. She reveals that her parents split up before she was old enough to understand. So, this guy is her mom's second husband. But, she passed away, so now it's just Yuki and her stepdad. Hearing that, Hiroki guessed that she must be living a hard life, and she also agreed. Then, she told Hiroki that she never uses her home situation as an excuse. She's resolved to live like a normal, decent girl. So she always tries to get along with her stepdad, keep up the fashion, and keep his friendship steady. She wants to be the kind of girl who's got her life together. If she does not do all that, she'll feel like she's letting her mom down. On her deathbed, Yuki's mom told her that she herself never found true happiness. Before dying, she requested Yuki to find peace and be happy. Suddenly, Yuki starts trembling and leans on Hiroki's shoulder saying that she doesn't want to get caught. If she gets caught, that means her name will be plastered all over the internet and in headlines, and the fact that she's a murderer will be immortalized forever. If that happens, she'll never be able to be happy again. She's only 15, she's still just bumbling through her life. For it to all end now, would just be so sad. The more she thinks about it, the more she can't stop shaking. And she sees it as the worst-case scenario. Saying all that, she asked Hiroki if they could stay together just for the rest of the day. The next moment, Hiroki was having dinner with his family. His big sister asked him if she could have his piece of fried chicken and he agreed. Suddenly, they heard a loud thud from Hiroki's room. His older sister immediately realized that this voice came from his room and asked him if he brought back a stray cat or something. Hiroki pretends like he didn't hear anything. He quickly finished his meal and left the table saying that he's going to study in his room. When he entered his room, he saw Yuki who was on the ground. She apologized to him because she knocked some manga off the shelf. After she said that she wants to spend a day together with Hiroki, he brought her to his home and hid her in his room without telling his family. At the same time in the Criminal Investigation Division, officers found 2 sets of footprints near the cliff where Ryoto fell. The suspects willingly gave the police their footprints today, and the 2 sets at the cliff matched Yuki and Hiroki's exactly. Kuroda assumes that Yuki and Hiroki are the ones who pushed Ryoto. Based on the interrogation, Kuroda guesses that Yuki is the instigator while Hiroki is either an accomplice or an accessory. But Kuroda is unable to understand why no one witnessed the crime. Seeing the reactions of other kids, Kuroda assumes that they were not lying. He remembered the blonde-haired guy saying that Ryoto just vanished right before their eyes. And the name Hiroki Watanabe, Kuroda is sure that he heard it somewhere before. Right then, another officer told him that there was a mistake in the Ryoto case file. The officer guesses that they're planning to redo the on-site investigation tomorrow morning. Hearing that, Kuroda thought that there are still a few loose ends, but the case is basically closed. At that moment, he asked the police officer named Kaga to pull a warrant for her arrest. Kuroda has decided that tomorrow he's going to make Yuki confess. At Hiroki's home, he was sneakily trying to get something to his room when his sister spotted him. She checked the bag and saw extra large spaghetti and yogurt. Hiroki got scared and answered that he was hungry, so he bought these things. Right then, she also spotted a charger in the bag and said that it's a different model from the one that he has. Hiroki panicked and quickly got back his things and ran to his room asking his sister to not tell the mom anything. She said that she didn't care and went back to what she was doing. When Hiroki entered the room, he saw Yuki comfortably lying on his bed. She saw him and hoped that he'll not mind her making herself comfortable on his bed. Hiroki asked her to make herself home and took out the things he bought for her to eat. She didn't want to get out of the bed because this bed is really comforting. She said that unlike her place, this mattress here is so fluffy and it has that fresh laundry smell. As she said that, Hiroki asked her to start eating before it got cold. She was happy to see the large spaghetti, but before she started eating, she apologized to Hiroki. She's already stopped time 3 times today, so Hiroki has to sneakily bring these things for her. Hiroki tells her to not worry about him and asks her if she wants to see the TV. When he turned on the TV, the first thing they saw was the news about Ryoto. A news reporter said, a high school boy fell from a cliff during a field trip and was found unconscious in critical condition. Regarding this matter, just now, at the hospital he was transported to, the death of Ryoto, age 15, has been confirmed. At the investigation department, Kaga was really sad that Ryoto died at the age of 15. Kaga reminds Kuroda that when Kuroda was in the community safety department, he mentioned giving Ryoto advice often when he got up to no good while he was in middle school. For that reason, they decided that they will absolutely solve this case. After a while, Kuroda remembered where he heard Hiroki Watanabe before. He remembered that Hiroki is the son of Naoki, the victim of the unnatural death by mummification case from 7 years ago. Kuroda was just a rookie in the investigation division when that incident occurred. An unsolved case where the victim was mummified in the 3 days. Kuroda knows that for a body to mummify, it usually takes 1 to 2 years. Even for just a part of the body, it takes 2 to 3 months. To begin with, in Japan, where humidity is high, cases for full-body mummification are extremely rare. Kuroda remembers that the medical examiner also said something about the estimated time of death being 2 years prior. He was going on about things that didn't add up. Kuroda knows that looking at the case report from back then won't tell him anything now, but at that moment, his eyes widened as he looked at the report of Naoki. At Hiroki's room, Yuki was lying on the bed while Hiroki was on the floor. Even though it's 2 a.m., Hiroki couldn't fall asleep. His thoughts at this moment are mixed up. At one moment he thought that they didn't kill Ryoto, the next moment he thought that they killed him. Because of these thoughts, he couldn't sleep the whole night. The next day, Hiroki and Yuki were both going to school together when they spotted Kuroda in front of them. They tried to act like they didn't know him and kept walking. When Kuroda saw them, he stopped them and told them the theory he mentioned yesterday was probably wrong. He said that for now, they both are considered in the clear. Hiroki was really shocked and started shouting, reminding him that yesterday he was so suspicious of them, and he said Ryoto's injuries were proof of homicide. Hearing that, Hiroki told him that the circumstances of Ryoto's fall were the issue. He told him that the on-site investigation was redone this morning. After the investigation, they conclude that Ryoto was determined not to have been pushed by a third party. He reveals that the victim had fallen to a point about 2 meters away from the cliff. It's understandable that the local cops overlooked it. He said that 2 meters is a distance that seems like nothing to the human eye. But, forensically speaking, Kuroda said that it's a distance that can't be ignored. He told them that whether it's homicide or an accident, the victim usually falls right near the cliff's edge. So, investigators know that at least it wasn't a simple homicide. Hearing that, Hiroki remembers that when they tried to save Ryoto, they accidentally pushed him and increased the distance further. That's why Kuroda said that it wasn't a simple homicide. But Hiroki is still not relieved. He thought that if only he got caught, this weight would be off his shoulders. Right then, Kuroda told them that they were near the victim at the time of the incident, so he came to talk to them because he thinks they're hiding something. He asked them to tell him everything, no matter how the small details were. At that moment, Yuki was holding a watch and was ready to stop the time if needed, but Kuroda spotted it. He asks her to hand over the watch because he wants to take a lot of it. He reveals that there was a similar item among the belongings of a victim in a certain case which is bothering him a little. He walked toward her and asked her why she's so reluctant. He reminds her that this isn't official questioning. As a high schooler, she probably knows that police officers are legally permitted to conduct an inspection of belongings. Seeing her reaction, Kuroda wondered why she's refusing to this extent. To him, this reaction isn't normal. As he was thinking if the watch she is holding is more than ordinary, some construction material was about to fall on him. Kuroda looked up and thought that he's done for when everything stopped. Yuki used the watch at the last moment and froze the time. Hiroki was relieved that nothing happened and praised Yuki for stopping the time at the last moment. Saying that, he ran toward Kuroda while asking Yuki to come with him and help Kuroda. If they leave him like that, he's gonna get hurt. At that moment, Yuki asked him if he really thought that should save this detective. Before Hiroki could say a thing, Yuki told him that if they save Kuroda now, he'll find out they can stop time. She asked him if he can't see that the detective is already suspicious of her watch for some reason, and this detective is also really sharp. She said that a detective like Kuroda, if they go out of their way to stop time and save him, it will be like saying they're the culprits and go and get them. Hearing that, Hiroki asked her if she's saying that should leave Kuroda to die. She answered that she's just letting things be. When Hiroki said that he still wants to help him, she asked him if he's prepared to live the rest of his life as a murderer. She asked him if he even knows what that means. She said that in today's society, if a sensational story breaks about a high schooler killing another high schooler, his real name will be all over the internet in an instant, and it'll never disappear. If that happens, then from then on, his friendships, his job, love, marriage, no matter what he does, the person in front of him, the moment they search his name online, everything will be ruined in a heartbeat. According to her, that's the kind of reality he'll have to live with. She asked him if he's okay with that and said that she's not. She wanted to be happy and live in peace and asked Hiroki if he did not want the same. Then, she told him that it's not that hard. They'll just leave Kuroda be. She said that if they hadn't stopped time, this detective would have had an accident and it would have been over. She said that they're not responsible for this guy, that's all there is to it. At that moment, Hiroki walked toward Yuki and slapped her in the face. He asked her to snap out of it and told her that currently she isn't the Yuki he knows. Hearing that, she agreed with Hiroki and saved Kuroda with him. They Kuroda some distance away from where the construction material was falling in order to save him. Right then, the time started moving again. Kuroda noticed the surroundings and looked at the place where construction material fell. He clearly remembers that he was standing at that place a moment ago. Hiroki and Yuki were standing beside him, and as he looked at them, they started walking saying they're getting late for school. From behind, Kuroda shouted and told Hiroki that the watch Yuki has is identical to the one his father had. After that at school, Hiroki was just sitting at his table without even flinching a little. After school ended, Hiroki went home and just lay down on his bed with empty eyes. Sometime later, Hiroki decided to meet Yuki and headed toward his home. As he was going there, he noticed Yuki sitting on the park bench. He went toward her and saw that she's also like him. Hiroki appeared from behind and asked her what happened to her. She answered that her dad hit her. She said that some days are just like this. With that, Hiroki sat beside her on the bench, but he didn't know what he should say. After a while, they both started using their phones without talking to each other. Hiroki broke the silence and asked her what she's watching on her phone. She didn't show her phone immediately and asked Hiroki what he's watching. In the end, they both decided to show their mobiles together on the count of 3. It turns out that both have searched for the same thing, the method to turn yourself in. Both were shocked to see that they have searched the same thing and what they have searched. They both decided that they will turn themselves in. They searched on Google and learned that the police station opens at 8:30 a.m. So, they have to wait till morning to turn themselves in. Hiroki then asked her if she wanted to do something before they turned themselves in. She answered with a smile that she wants to have a big hearty meal. At the same time, Kuroda was checking on camera what happened when the construction material was about to fall on him. He saw that when the things were about to crush him, he was far away the next moment. At that moment, he took a sip of coffee and asked Kaga if he would believe it if he said he could stop time. Kaga didn't answer and just said to Kuroda that he's tired from overworking. He should go on paid leave once in a while. Kuroda also acts like he's tired and agrees with Kaga. Meanwhile, Yuki and Hiroki ate their meal and left for the house. Yuki again went to Hiroki's house because Yuki's dad isn't willing to let her enter her house after hearing she was called to the police station as a suspect of murder. Hiroki didn't mind her and said that she can stay here until they turn themselves in. As they were talking, they didn't notice that Hiroki's sister was sitting in Hiroki's room. She asked them what they meant by turning themselves in. They both were really shocked and in panic. They started saying that they have an explanation. But Hiroki's sister has something different in her mind. She said that she's not going to stop them from following their dangerous passions as a teen and engage in lewd behavior, but if mom finds out, they'll be in big trouble. After saying that, she told them that they can stay in her dad's studio. The next moment, they arrived in front of Hiroki's dad's studio. Yuki is amazed that Hiroki's family has a studio and asks him if he comes here often. Hiroki answered no and told her that he hadn't been inside since his dad died. But he kept the key to the studio. He reveals that he never came here but his mom comes here regularly and cleans it. He enters the studio and mentions that it's just as he remembers it. When they sat on a sofa, Yuki asked him if knows what the cop meant when he said Hiroki's dad had the same watch as her. Hiroki answered that he didn't know. He doesn't remember him having one, but he's not sure because it was a long time ago. Then, Yuki said that if his dad really had the watch, then there's a chance his dad is the reason why Hiroki can move while time is stopped. This is just her guess, because beside him, she never saw anyone else who can move while time is stopped. At that moment, Hiroki reveals that his dad was a maniac about keeping a diary. So if he really owned a watch, he might have written about it in the diary. They decided to use the time they have to read the diaries. After reading the diaries for the whole night, they didn't find anything. Even though she didn't find anything, Yuki is glad she could spend a night with Hiroki. She got up and said that now it's time to go to the police station and turn themselves in. But before they went to the police station, Yuki asked for 30 minutes to go back to her house and change her clothes. But after 30 minutes went by, Yuki didn't return. Instead, she left a single message to Hiroki. The message said, "Sorry, I'm going alone." At the same time, Kaga woke up Kuroda and told him that a girl named Yuki is here and she's saying that she killed Ryoto and wants to get interrogated. At Hiroki's house, after he received the message, he immediately decided to go after her. But as he turned to leave the house, he tripped on a diary and fell. After his head hit the table, because of the impact, A secret drawer opened and a diary fell down. Seeing the diary, Hiroki remembered that his dad used to hide this diary under the table. He immediately started reading the diary because it most likely has something important in it. At the same time, Yuki was sitting in the interrogation room with Kuroda and Kaga. Kuroda asks her to remember that his interrogation is being fully recorded. Also, everything she says will be transcribed by the clerk and will be preserved as a deposition. Kuroda told her that she just said she killed Ryoto. He asked her to understand that as a high scholar, she should know that this is no longer a joking matter. He tells her that Ryoto's death wasn't a simple homicide. He already told them yesterday that the distance between the cliff and Ryoto was too great. So he asked her how she's going to explain that distance. At that moment, Yuki doesn't hide anything and reveals that she has a watch that can stop time. She put the watch on the table and said that when she winds this knob, time stops. It can stop time for up to 20 minutes, up to 3 times a day. Hearing that, Kaga smashed the table because he thinks that Yuki is messing around. He can't believe that time can be stopped. Seeing him making noise and obstructing the interrogation, Kuroda tells him to shut up and asks Yuki to continue. Kuroda said that for now, he'll believe she's telling the truth and continue the interrogation believing that she can stop time. Meanwhile, Hiroki was reading the diary. Hiroki's dad wrote that on June 14th, he acquired a watch that stops time. While he stopped time, he committed several sins that he cannot record in this diary, but in any case, whoever becomes the owner of this watch, there is one thing he must be aware of. Before we learn about that thing, Kuroda asked Yuki to prove the powers of the watch, otherwise, they can't continue the interrogation. Yuki agreed and decided to show them how she actually stops time. Kuroda asked her how she's going to prove the powers of the watch. She answered that while the time is stopped, she'll doodle on the documents that are in front of Kaga. Kuroda gave her the permission and she decided to stop the time. At the same time, Hiroki learns that the thing the owner of the watch must be aware of is that this watch is capable of making it so that everything that happened while time was stopped appears to have never occurred in the first place. After Hiroki learned that, he realized that turning themselves in wasn't the answer. They should have figured out how to use the method that Hiroki's dad wrote in the diary to settle everything that they did while time was stopped. As he was thinking that, he took his bicycle and rode toward the police station to see Yuki. While the time was stopped, Yuki wrote some things on the document to prove the powers of the watch. She thought that the duration of time that can be stopped is determined by how much she initially winds the knob. It can't be changed by winding it further after that. She's already done writing her proof, but the time is still stopped. In this silent world, all sorts of things came to her mind. Remembering how she accidentally killed Ryoto, she started crying while saying sorry. Suddenly, she heard footsteps. She immediately realizes that the only one who can move when the time is stopped is her and Hiroki. As she looked behind, she saw Hiroki entering the room. He told her that turning themselves in wasn't the answer. He showed her a diary and told her that it was written in this diary that his dad found out about the time stopwatch 7 years ago. He told her that there's a way to reset everything that happened when the time was stopped. Right then, the time started moving. Kuroda and Kaga were shocked to see Hiroki, who wasn't there a moment, in front of them. Immediately, Kuroda ordered Kaga to apprehend Yuki. When Kaga ran and caught her, she stopped time again. When the time unfroze, both Yuki and Hiroki weren't in the room. Kuroda immediately announces that the targets have escaped from the interrogation room. He also said that the targets are in possession of a special weapon. They didn't reveal that Yuki can stop the time and just said that the details of the weapon are currently under investigation. There are 2 suspects, Yuki and Hiroki. They announced that Yuki had confessed to murder. They also determined that she meets the criteria for an emergency arrest. Many police officers left the police station to catch Yuki. Meanwhile, Yuki and Hiroki are hiding at a place under the road. They realize that many police officers are trying to find them, so now they can only use the reset method that Hiroki's dad found. When Yuki asked him what they had to do, Hiroki revealed that the diary said, first, go to Hokkaido. And then there, they'll find the god of time. To go to Hokkaido, they can't take the train to the airport because if they get too close, they'd probably be spotted. If they use the watch, they could probably get on a train, but they only have one use left for today. As they were thinking what to do, a police officer appeared before them and asked them if he could talk to them for a moment. Without thinking, Yuki stopped the time and disappeared. Next, in order to replenish their uses of the time stop ability, they spent the whole day getting to the airport. The next day, they finally made it to the airport. Yuki was wearing a hat and glasses to hide herself while Hiroki was wearing a mask. As they were thinking they would not be found now, they spotted Kuroda in front of them. Before Kuroda saw them, they hid behind the wall. Kaga asked Kuroda why he's surveying the airport, and especially flights to Hokkaido. Kuroda told him that he has a hunch that this case is connected to the mummification incident from 7 years ago. One of the suspects, Hiroki's father, possessed a time-stopping watch. And then when Hiroki was talking to Yuki and time suddenly started moving, Kuroda remembers Hiroki mentioning his dad. It's also written in the case files from back then that Naoki was from a deserted village in Hokkaido. With all that, Kuroda guessed that they're trying to head to Hokkaido. On the other hand, Yuki and Hiroki have run away from the airport. They stopped after some distance and wondered how Kuroda knew where they were going. When Hiroki was thinking about how they're going to get on a plane, Yuki pointed at a place where cargo was getting transported on the plane. The next moment, the plane was flying and police officers were checking the IDs of all the passengers. In the cargo room, Yuki and Hiroki were sitting in the middle of the cargo. They stopped time earlier and snuck in. From here, they thought that they should be able to get to Hokkaido without anyone noticing. Suddenly, both Hiroki and Yuki sneezed. It turns out that this place is very cold. Hiroki mentions that it seems colder the closer they're to walls, so Yuki asks if they should go near the door. Hiroki answered that they can't go near the door, because if someone comes, they'll be in trouble. At that moment, Yuki whispered something in Hiroki's ear. She suggested that they should get closer to each other so they can share the warmth and not get cold. They were feeling embarrassed to do that, but there's nothing else they can do. If they catch a cold in this situation, they'll be in trouble. After a moment of silence, Yuki said that she'd like for them to go somewhere and have fun after all this is over. She put her head on Hiroki's shoulder and said that she would like to go bowling. At the same time, a police officer checked the cabin, but didn't find Yuki or Hiroki. As he was thinking that if a bunch of students tried to sneak onto the plane, they'd catch them before boarding, a police officer came in and asked him if he checked the cargo hold. The next moment, the police officer was going toward the cargo thinking that there's no way someone would be there. He entered the room, looked around, but didn't see anyone. At this moment, Yuki and Hiroki were hiding under the cargo. Before the police officer entered, Yuki quickly noticed and stopped the time to hide themselves, but the position they found was really tight. Right then, Yuki accidentally moved and produced a little noise which caught the police officer's attention. As he was about to check the place where the noise came from, the same police officer who asked him to check the room arrived there and asked him if he was done checking. When the police officer answered with no, the one who just came realized that this place was freezing. He concluded that no one can hide here and asked the police officer who was checking the room that they should leave. When the first guy mentioned hearing noise, the second guy just scoffed it off as a noise from cargo shifting and asked him to come with him. Yuki and Hiroki were finally able to take the breath of relief. Sometime later, the pilot announced that their plane will be landing shortly and asked the passengers to make sure seatbelts are fastened. Yuki remembered that her mom used to say that she can't ever be happy. Yuki guessed that her mom said it thinking she wouldn't be able to understand because at that time she was just a kid. Unfortunately, now the memory of her saying she can't be happy is stuck with Yuki. Her parents divorced for reasons a child couldn't understand, and remarried for reasons a child couldn't understand. She didn't like her stepfather who never hid his love for Yuki's mom even in front of her. But she didn't dislike him either. Everything started to go wrong when Yuki's mom was diagnosed with cancer. To save her, Yuki's stepfather tried every possible means. He kept trying and trying, but nothing happened. Yuki's mom became nothing but skin and bones and died. And so, Yuki and her stepfather were left behind all alone. The idea that people who've shuddered the same misfortune would support each other and live on, according to Yuki, that only happens in stories. Her stepfather hated her because she reminded him of Yuki's mom's death. And she too despised his stepfather, a reminder of her mom's death. But no matter what he did to her, somewhere in her heart, she couldn't bring herself to hate him completely. It's because she knows the reason why her stepfather became so strange. The sorrow of losing someone you love, she knows it drove him mad. In the present, Kuroda was checking the footage at the airport. Suddenly, his eyes widened as he noticed a piece of trash suddenly moved in the recording. Kuroda guessed that while they stopped time, they accidentally stepped on it. At that moment, he asked Kaga to contact the Hokkaido Prefectural Police immediately. He just realized that his guess was correct. Yuki and Hiroki are already in Hokkaido. In Hokkaido, Yuki and Hiroki were standing in front of a shrine. Yuki asked if this is the shrine where the time of God is worshipped. Hiroki answered with yes and told her that according to his dad's diary, when he came to this shrine for research, he met the god here. The next moment, they entered the shrine and started finding the place Hiroki's dad mentioned in the diary. As they were walking, the route was getting harder and harder to walk on. When they were crossing a really steep road, the rocks under Hiroki's feet broke and he started falling down the cliff. He immediately grabbed a piece of rock to hold on, but it also broke. Right then Yuki stopped the time. Every rock that was falling stopped in its place. Yuki then moved forward her hand and grabbed Hiroki's hand. Like this, she was able to save Hiroki from dying. After that, they took some rest and started walking again. While walking, Yuki was holding Hiroki's hand as she thought that she's like her stepfather. She doesn't want to lose someone precious to him. Some time later, they reached a strange rock in which it was written, "This is where the god of time is enshrined." The next moment, everything around them turned pitch black. The place stayed pitch black just for a second. After that, they both arrived at a different place. In front of them, a person was sitting in the chair. When Hiroki looked at the person properly, he realized that the one who was sitting in front of him was his dad. As he was really happy thinking his dad was alive, he talked. He said, "Humans, what business do you have here?" This question made both of them really shocked. Hiroki didn't answer the question but asked him who he is, and if he's connected to his dad. He heard that and realized something. Suddenly, his form changed and he turned into Yuki. He said that he forgot that humans are attached to physical forms. His appearance changed continuously. Sometimes he became a detective, sometimes Hiroki, or sometimes Yuki in a rabbit costume. He said that what they call appearance is, at best, just a slice of the third dimension. It doesn't reflect the true essence of things. So, something as trivial as appearance can be changed however he pleases. As he said that, he changed into Yuki's mother. She saw that and immediately shouted, asking him to stop. Hearing that, he changed his form and said sorry to them. He mentions that he's not used to communicating with three-dimensional beings. In the end, he just took Yuki's form and assumed that they don't have any problem with this. Then, Hiroki asked him who he was. He answered that they are spiritual life forms that descended upon this planet a long time ago. In the chaos of ancient times, they obtained the power to control time. Using that power, in the past, the future, and the present, they are omnipresent on this planet. If he were to put it in human terms, they can call him a god of time. Hiroki and Yuki both were shocked to hear that. Hiroki then asks him if he's the one who made the time-stopping watch. He answered yes and said that they made it for humans. When they wind the knob on the watch, time stops. A design that's easy for humans to understand. He said that they made this watch quite well. But it's still not to their taste. Far too much waste. Hiroki then asked him the reason for giving these time-stopping watches to humans. He answered, emotions. That's what they want. He mentions that his species do not possess emotions. They once did, but they discarded them by self-modification. Emotions are nothing more than a base function for survival. He believed the judgment of their predecessors was a rational one. However, they discovered that emotions were necessary to power their new devices. So, they had no choice but to obtain them from other life forms. It was then that they found these inferior life forms called humans. When it came to releasing emotions, humans were surprisingly highly efficient. He said that their first choice was to quickly harm humans to collect a large amount of emotions. But humans are fragile. Even simple contact could easily lead to their extinction. And they, for their part, would like to preserve the human species as much as possible. So they decided to use a relatively more peaceful method. And that was this watch. This watch grants humans the power to manipulate time, and in exchange, it converts their emotions into energy. Think of it like a water wheel. If you place a water wheel where emotions overflow, you can extract energy without affecting emotions themselves. They are taking energy from humans without their knowledge. He thinks that it's a really peaceful method. Hearing that, Yuki asked him why he chose her as the owner. She guesses that it wasn't a coincidence that she became the owner. She thinks that he's the one who made her find the watch. He answered that among the candidates guided forth by the Great Will, she was the one best suited to be the watch's owner. Because she is a human who easily releases emotions, making them easy to collect. She is emotionally impulsive, using the watch over and over. She acts without a plan, and then uses the watch again to clean up her mess. It's easier to collect energy from someone like her. Explaining all that, he asked them if they had any other questions. Hiroki asked him if there's a way to make everything that happened while time stopped as if it never occurred. The god of time answered that there is a way. He only needs to return the watch to the god of time and wish to break the contract. That is all he needs to do. And with that, every part of reality they changed with that watch will be undone. Hiroki can't believe that it's so easy, so he asked him if that's really it. He asked what will become of Ryoto whom they pushed off the cliff. The god of time answered that that part will be erased. Sneaking into the museum will also be erased. Or rather, it will be as if none of it ever happened at all. He reminds them that the reason Hiroki and Yuki met was because of the time-stopping watch. Hearing that, Yuki's eyes became pin-sized as she realized something. Hiroki wasn't as shocked as Yuki, he was just sad. He's sad that they'll become strangers. But becoming strangers is better than becoming a murderer. So he asked Yuki to do as the god of time said. Now we learned what Yuki realized. She realized that if the time stop never happened, then the Truckkuin would have crushed Hiroki before they even met. To begin with, Yuki revealed the time-stopping watch to save Hiroki from the accident. Yuki shouted, asking the god of time what would happen to Hiroki if she broke the contract. The god of time suddenly appeared beside her and whispered in her ear, "He will die." Then, Yuki asked him what if she just keeps the watch and never breaks the contract. The god of time answered that if she did that, then she would die. The god of time reminds them that he told them that watches were made for humans. Stopping time requires a power far beyond that of a human. So that humans could wield such a supernatural power, that watch is designed to balance the books by using the owner's life force. The moment Yuki used the watch, even once, a switch was flipped. The more she stops time and alters reality, the more distortions are born. And ultimately, that distortion is resolved by the owner's very own life. In other words, death. Yuki's eyes widened with shock after hearing that. She said she didn't know about that. The god of time answered he never told her. But such astonishing power. He asked her if she really thought she could wield it without a price. Hearing that, Hiroki remembered about his dad and asked the god of time if what he just said is also the reason for his dad's death. The god of time answered yes, and said that his dad's life was also claimed by the watch. No one can escape fate. Saying that, he asked them to make a choice. Return the watch and kill Hiroki, or keep the watch and kill Yuki. Hearing that, Yuki fell to the ground in despair. The god of time saw that and smiled, calling his brethren. He asks them to gather around, and tells that from the depths of despair, a young girl is wailing. They decided to savor the sweet taste of her anguish. The next moment, everything was back to normal and both Yuki and Hiroki were sitting on the ground with dead eyes. After a minute, Hiroki broke the silence, asking the god of time why his dad chose to die. If Hiroki's dad knew the god of time existed, he could have just returned the watch. Hiroki's question is why did his dad keep it? The god of time answered that it was because of Hiroki. Hiroki's dad found the shrine by chance and was given the watch on a whim. He became its owner under unusual circumstances. He was a selfless and simple man. He seemed content as long as he was painting, and never sought much more. Frankly, the god of time thought giving him the watch was a mistake because he only ever used it to paint. But there was one day in his life when he had a desperate wish. It was the day Hiroki was born. That day, there was an accident on the highway. A major one. 2 people died and 9 were injured. It caused a catastrophic traffic jam and Hiroki's parents got trapped in their car for 5 hours. Hiroki's mother was in her final month of pregnancy. His mother was 35. Age of high-risk pregnancy. Her doctor had warned them it would be a difficult birth, and Hiroki's dad often heard stories of his wife's friends having miscarriages. And so, to reach the hospital, he stopped time. He slipped out of the traffic jam and headed to a nearby hospital. Hiroki was born safe and sound. The doctor told Hiroki's dad that if he'd been just 10 minutes late, it might have ended badly. Hiroki's dad knew all too well that he would die if he kept holding onto the watch. But he couldn't let it go. Not if it meant saving Hiroki's life. After talking for some more time, Hiroki and Yuki left the shrine. They postponed their decision. They still had a few days until the time limit. When they climbed down the mountain, they found an empty house and decided to rest there. Yuki sat in the corner with a sad face. Hiroki suddenly mentions that life forms that exist beyond time, using a watch to collect emotions. He said that God told them a lot of things that didn't make any sense. Saying that, he asked Yuki to return the watch. He said that he might get into that accident, but it's not like he'll die for sure. He smiled and said that maybe the god of time was lying about him dying just to collect emotions. Hearing that, Yuki came near him shouting, telling him that he'll die for sure. She asked him if he could imagine dying. Suddenly, Hiroki also shouted, asking her the same questions. She asked him, knowing that he's going to die, how he can tell her to return the watch. Hiroki stayed silent for a moment and then said, "Because I like you, Yuki." Hearing that, Yuki started crying, saying he can't tell her that now. After some time, they left the empty house. Their time limit is 7 days. If they exceed that, Yuki will die. They have to return the watch by then. The god of time is now always with them so they could return the watch whenever they want. During those 7 days, Yuki and Hiroki decided to enjoy themselves as much as possible. After eating and seeing fireworks in the festival, they decided to head back. At midnight, while Hiroki was sleeping, Yuki was awake, thinking of writing something. The time creature was still floating beside Yuki. He said that he'll never understand what humans are thinking. He mentions that if she returns the watch, this time will also be as if it never happened. He asked her why bother to enjoy days that are destined to be lost. But it doesn't matter to the god of time, he just wants to collect their emotions, that's it. At that moment, Yuki said to him that she has a favor to ask. In the morning, Hiroki woke up and stretched his arm. He looked beside him and when he didn't find Yuki, he immediately asked the god of time where she was. The god of time sighed and mentioned that he never heard of a human using a god as an errand boy. Saying that, he took out a letter and told Hiroki that Yuki left this behind for him. Seeing that, Hiroki shouted and was about to ask something, but the god of time stopped. He put tea in the cup and turned on the TV. A news reporter was reporting that the female student who murdered a male classmate and escaped in Kitagawa City, Saitama Prefecture, turned herself in this morning at a police station in Hokkaido, where she had fled. Hiroki was really shocked after seeing that. Then he read the letter. Yuki has written in it that she has decided to turn herself in. She's sorry for going off and deciding on her own. She honestly said that she wanted to enjoy their remaining day, even if it was just one more day, but it seems she's not thick-skinned enough to enjoy herself under these circumstances. She's sure that Hiroki already knows this, but she intends to die with the watch in her possession. It's because she doesn't want him to die. And she wants to save his life, no matter the sacrifice. She said sorry and asked Hiroki to forget about her, and the watch as soon as he finished reading this letter. After some time, a lady entered his room with someone. This person is none other than Detective Kuroda. He said to Hiroki that he wants to ask him some questions. And so, they returned to Tokyo. He was interrogated by Kuroda, and he answered everything he asked, honestly. About Yuki finding the time-stopping watch, about him being the only one who could move while time was stopped, and that pushing Ryoto was an accident. But he didn't mention that the owner of the watch would die or about breaking the contract. He doesn't know what the right thing to do was, but he felt like if he told Kuroda about that, he would be undermining Yuki's decision. After the interrogation was done, Hiroko was dropped off at his home. His mom and sister came out and immediately hugged him. They were really worried about him. Hiroki wondered if what he did was really the best. He wondered if there's an ending where he saves Yuki and they live happily, and Ryoto lives too. An ending where he doesn't have to bear any sin. Where they can just be ordinary and happy. He wondered if there's no such ending. 3 days after Yuki's arrest, Hiroki was having dinner with his family when once again, time stopped. After the time continued again, Hiroki called Kuroda and told him that time stopped. Hiroki said that there's only 2 possibilities. One is Yuki stopped time, or someone stole the watch. Kuroda heard that and told Hiroki that Yuki said the same thing, which means she didn't stop the time. Kuroda also rejects the second possibility because the watch is under strict lock and key. No one can use it. Hiroki asks him if that lock is really reliable. That watch is really dangerous. It can stop time. What if someone secretly stole it and then put it back? Kuroda still didn't believe it. He assumes that Hiroki and Yuki are plotting something. To him, it looks like they too have gotten their story straight and are trying to pull something. Hiroki tries to say that he's not planning anything, but Kuroda doesn't listen. He said that only a handful of people within the police force know about this time-stopping power. They can't bring the evidence to light, which is the only reason they couldn't detain Hiroki. In the end, he asked Hiroki to remember that they're on opposite sides. Hiroki heard that and realized that this is a mystery he had to solve by himself. It's asking too much to rely on Kuroda at this point. Besides, if someone is misusing the watch, he should be the one to take responsibility for some reason. That's what he thought. The next day, Hiroki was riding his bicycle on the road. He thought that today marks the 7th day since they met the god of time. The last day of Yuki's life. He thinks that he has to do something, but he doesn't know what to do. If he could just find out why time is stopping, if he could find the culprit who stole Yuki's watch, something might happen. He has a strange feeling about it. He thought that it might be running from reality, but right now he wants to find out. Right then, the time stopped. Somewhere in this world, there has to be someone who stopped time. He looked around to see if there's any clues. At that moment, he heard footsteps. From the dark, Kuroda came in front of him. He assumes that Kuroda is the one who stopped the time and was about to ask him about it when someone attacked him from behind. This person is none other than Kaga, a co-worker of Kuroda. Kaga said that it was close. He said that he's glad he could kill Kuroda so quickly. If Kuroda been about to enter the world of stop time, he would have figured out what Kaga did in a heartbeat. As he said that, Kuroda twitched a little, which means he's still alive. So, Kaga took out a gun and shot him in the head to make him quit the lobby. After killing him, he put back the gun and said, "Now I can rest easy." After Hiroki's phone call, Kuroda suspected that the watch had been switched. To confirm if it's true or not, Kuroda used the watch. And it turns out that the watch is real and safe. In the present, the god of time told Kaga that if someone uses the watch even once, they can enter the world of stop time. That's why Kuroda was able to move around while the time was stopped. Kaga saw the creature and wondered who this was. At the same time, Hiroki was really shocked and scared because a person just got killed in front of him. But Hiroki didn't stay silent for long. He built up courage and asked Kaga why he, a cop, killed someone. Kaga just answered that the only reason he became a cop was so he could shoot people. Putting that aside, Kaga decided to ask him something interesting. He asked him how far did he and Yuki go with the watch. Hiroki was confused after hearing that question. Kaga told him to answer honestly because no one is listening. Suddenly, Kaga changed his question. He asked Hiroki, beside Ryoto, how many people they have killed. When Hiroki didn't answer, Kaga asked him again. He assumes that Hiroki isn't answering because they killed too many to count. As Hiroki answered that they haven't done any killing, Kaga started laughing. Kaga asked him about a lot of crimes, like grabbing someone, stealing something, arson, vandalism. He said that they must have done at least one of these crimes. Hiroki answered no. Then, Hiroki asked Kaga if he's doing things like that. Murder and all sorts of other stuff. Kaga said of course and showed Hiroki the proof on his mobile. He said that he's been using the watch only for 2 days, so he hasn't done many crimes yet. From now on, he said that he's going to do more exhilarating things. He said that Hiroki and Yuki are just kids who don't know how to use this watch properly. As an adult, Kaga said that he is going to use this watch more cleverly. Hearing that, Hiroki said to Kaga that he shouldn't have that watch and asked him to give it back. Suddenly, Kaga pulled out a gun and asked Hiroki to take it from him. He pointed at Hiroki's head and said that if he keeps that attitude in front of him, he'll really shoot him. Kaga was thinking that Hiroki and he could become good friends. He points out that even if Hiroki stops time, there's a limit to what he can do alone. But if he joined Kaga, they could do so much more. He said to Hiroki that it's not too late and asked him to join him. He said to Hiroki that he will never have to worry about money. They can hit up safes and jewelers, become billionaires. Hiroki can have any woman he wants. He can hook up with celebrities and brag to all his classmates. They can kill anyone they want and never get caught. Kaga said that he can get rid of anyone Hiroki hates. He said that it'll be a lot more fun than getting dragged into this mess by some girl like Yuki and going to the boonies of Hokkaido. Hearing Yuki's name, Hiroki remembered all the time they had spent together. Hiroki immediately refused to join Kaga. He said that making a girl that he likes smile even once is a lot better than doing all that Kaga said. Hiroki shouted, asking Kaga to shoot if he's going to. Without wasting a moment, Kaga pulled the trigger and shot the bullet. Hiroki didn't even flinch after seeing a bullet shot toward him. Surprisingly, the bullet stopped after moving just a little. Hiroki thought that he knew far more about this watch than Kaga. Anything set in motion while time is stopped will gradually slow down, and a bullet is no exception. Immediately, Hiroki ran toward Kaga and hit him in the face before he could even react. Hiroki picked up the watch that fell to the ground. He looked at the watch and said that this isn't Yuki's watch. While Hiroki was confused, the god of time appeared beside him and told him that this is the watch that Naoki, Hiroki's dad, had. After carefully looking at the watch, Hiroki remembered something. When he was just a kid, a watch came flying and hit his head. He picked up the watch and accidentally stopped time. This is the reason why Hiroki could move around while time stopped. After learning that he could move around during time stops, he asked the god of time why Kaga had his dad's watch. The god of time answered that they monitor the whereabouts of all the watches they hand over to humans. His father died while still in possession of the time-stopping watch. So the police took custody of the watch as one of his belongings. Because Naoki had scraped off the part about how to use the clock and made it unreadable, no one realized the power the watch held. Normally, personal effects are returned to the family after an investigation concludes, but because it became an unsolved case, it was kept in storage at the police station for 7 years. 8 days ago, in other words, the day Hiroki and Yuki went to Hokkaido by plane, Kaga learned the true nature of this watch and stole it. Suddenly, a thought clicked his mind. He decided to break the contract on this watch. Kaga already used this watch to do unforgivable things. He has to make it so it never happens. Saying that, he realized something and asked the god of time that even if he breaks the contract, will the things Kaga did be udon, or does Kaga himself have to be the one to break the contract? The god of time answered that it's not an issue. When a contract is broken, all of the reality that was changed by the watch is undone. Hearing that, Hiroki was about to break the contract to fix everything. But then he realized that if he did that, the things his dad did using this watch would also be undone. If he broke the contract on this watch, his mother would have had a stillbirth and he wouldn't have been born. The god of time answered that he doesn't know if that will really happen. There are many factors involved that can change what would have happened that day. Saying that, the god of time decided to explain the butterfly effect. It's an idea that the flapping of a small butterfly's wings can trigger a great tornado. It is a metaphorical expression created by human scholars. It means that fate is just that unpredictable. The fate of breaking the contract will not be limited to just his life or death. In an extreme, it wouldn't be strange for wars of famines to occur just from breaking the contract. This is the butterfly effect. If he breaks the contract, it will be like going to a completely new world. Hiroki asked him if in that world, Yuki would find the watch. The god of time answered that she might find it, or she might not. Hiroki then asked if he and Yuki would meet again in that world. The god of time again answered that they might meet, or they might not. However, Yuki dying in the same way she would not is low. Hearing that, Hiroki immediately decided to break the contract on his father's watch. He said that he had to undo what Kaga did and if it means Yuki will be saved, he's fine with that. Besides, he thinks that the power to stop time is just too much for humans. He thinks that it was a mistake to even meddle with it in the first place. He mentions that if he breaks the contract on his dad's watch and there's a chance for a world where neither his dad nor Yuki uses this watch, then he wants to bet on that possibility. Hearing all that, the god of time started thinking something, so Hiroki asked him what he's thinking. He answered that individuals being able to decide things as they please, and following their emotions is the characteristic for the life form known as humans. The god of time called Hiroki's statement irrational, and therefore, very human. He finds it to be an interesting way of thinking. Hiroki was shocked after hearing all that, so the god of time asked him what's wrong. Hiroki answered that he was just thinking he doesn't remember the god of time being this kind. The god of time said that he's merely acting rationally in accordance with his objectives. He has no intention of being kind of Hiroki. In the end, Hiroki decided to hand over the watch, but he had a favor to ask. The next moment, the god of time appeared in front of Yuki, who's in cell. The god of time mentions to her that both of them sure know how to boss a god around. Yuki was confused when time suddenly stopped. At that moment, she heard some footsteps and Hiroki arrived in front of her. Yuki saw him and asked him how he got here. He answered that the god of time told him how. Hiroki then told her that he's going to break the contract on his dad's watch and then he'll be able to go to a brand new world. Yuki immediately realized that if Hiroki broke the contract on his dad's watch, he would die, so she asked him to not do that. Hiroki said that he will not die. He's sure that his dad will find a way to save him. Before Hiroki broke the contract, Yuki said that she likes him. Hiroki said the same to her and they both kissed. The next moment, Hiroki broke the contract. After that, Yuki woke up in her bed. In this timeline, her mom is alive and her family is happy, unlike the one she had in the previous timeline. After eating, Yuki left the house to go somewhere. While walking outside, she thought that for a long time, she's been having the same dream over and over. In that dream, a certain boy always appears and he's always there to help her when she gets in trouble. But when she woke up, she could never remember his face. Yuki and her friends were looking for a wallet that they dropped when someone suddenly bumped into Yuki. She fell to the ground because of the impact. At that moment, a boy appeared in front of her and gave her a helping hand. This boy is none other than Hiroki. Suddenly, Hiroki started telling her about how he was born. He said that he was almost born in the car while stuck in a huge traffic jam on the highway. So his dad got out of the car and shouted, telling people that his wife is going into labor and asked them to help him. Hearing that, some people helped out and his mom was rushed to the hospital. The doctors said that if they were even a little late, Hiroki might not have been born. After telling her that, he said sorry to her and said that he doesn't know why he's telling a total stranger all this. But somehow he felt like he should. Right then, Yuki's friends told her about the location where they most likely dropped the wallet. Hiroki heard that and decided to help them. As Yuki and Hiroki were looking for the wallet, they stumbled upon a watch. Time-stopping watch. They saw the watch and thought that someone might have dropped it. So they just placed the watch at a place where it's easy to find. The god of time was hiding behind the tree. When he saw Yuki didn't take the watch, he picked up the watch and left the place. After some time, they found the wallet and were really happy. In the end, Yuki and Hiroki decided to take a look around as they're already here. This is the end of the story. Subscribe and suggest more stories in the comments section.